Before the program begins this evening, I have 3 announcements. First, we ask you if you would please turn off your cell phones. Second, we ask that you refrain from applauding during the program because we would like to preserve an atmosphere throughout. And third, there will be a video recording of the program tonight, but only what is occurring on the stage will be filmed, and the audience will not be part of the recording.
"200 years ago, a child was born in Iran. He had the power to change the world. One night, his father had a dream. In this dream, he saw an ocean stretching out in every direction as far as the eye could see. In the center of the ocean swam his son, strong and peaceful, with his long jet black hair floating on top of the waves. His body seemed to glow with light, attracting fish from every direction. As the fish gathered around him, each clung tightly to one of his hairs. But the fish did not bother the boy. He swam freely wherever he wished, while the fascinated fish swam with him. When his father awoke, he remembered the dream clearly. It seemed strange, yet wonderful, as some dreams do. But what did it mean? He would need to call on a wise man who understood the language of dreams. The ocean was the world, the wise man explained. The fish that gathered around the boy were the peoples of the world. His son would cause great turmoil amongst them, as he offered a new way of life, one of peace, hope, and unity. No one could stop him or stand in his way. No one will resist his march. No one will hinder his progress. Around him will they gather, and to him will they cling. Who was this child? Bahá'u'lláh.
As we welcome you warmly to our celebration, we would like to recognize the Mi'kmaq, the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered, and pay our respects to their elders, both past and present. We have extended invitations to many friends in the island's various faith communities and levels of government, and acknowledge the presence of all of our esteemed guests this evening, including our Member of Parliament and member of our Provincial Legislative Assembly. Today is one of great joy for Baha'i communities throughout the world, as millions of us are commemorating the 200th anniversary of the birth of the founder of our faith. Our program here this evening will, we hope, help to answer the question posed at the end of the video you have just seen, through a series of stories about Baha'u'llah's life and a glimpse of the legacy he has left to the world.
Baha'u'llah, which means the glory of God, was born in Persia, present-day Iran, into a courtier's family, and it was widely expected that he would follow in his father's footsteps and take up a position in the court of the Shah, the king. But early in his life, it was clear that this was not the path he would take. It seemed that his father's dream was truly prophetic. Let us listen to a story about Baha'u'llah's childhood at the marriage of one of his brothers. Now, this wasn't just a quick ceremony. Because Baha'u'llah's father could afford it, the wedding celebration lasted 7 days and 7 nights. There were lots of people, flowers, food, gold coins, jewelry, presents, music, dancing, and entertainment. Lots of entertainers.
Even a puppet master. Yes, I was there. I remember the day like it was yesterday. It was the last day of the wedding celebration, and we had been hired, my men and I, to put on a puppet show. The puppet show was about Shah Sultan Selim, the leader of the Ottoman Empire in its early days. Well, as we were setting up the puppet show in the courtyard, I noticed in a window a young fellow watching us, but there was far too much to do for me to pay attention to him. Oh, it was a great piece. It was full of pomp and fuss and splendor. At first, we had the puppets coming in, yelling, "Make way for His Majesty! Make way for His Majesty!" sweeping and making everything ready. And then the sounds of the trumpet, boom, 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 announcing the arrival of the Shah. And he strode in his royal robes and his royal turban and his royal jewels, with his retinue of puppet footmen and puppet executioners and puppet soldiers with their battle axes. Oh, it was a great thing, almost like the real thing, and the people were riveted. Well, I glanced up, and I saw the young fellow, deep in thought, far beyond his years, watching all the spectacle. Well, then we had the Sultan march across the stage and sit in his throne. The sounds of muskets were heard. Bang, 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 pop, pop, pop. It was so realistic that people jumped in their chairs. Then the smoke enveloped the whole stage, the throne and the Sultan and everyone. And when the smoke dissipated, voila! There was the puppet court, with the puppet princes and the puppet dignitaries in state, with all their splendor, oh, much like the audience. Then a thief was brought in, and the Shah said, "Off with his head," and off it flew. Then another puppet came in and told about an insurrection at the border, and the Sultan said, "Go and deal with it," and off the puppet soldiers went, off. And from behind the curtain, the sound of cannons, boom, boom, boom. Oh, that was always a great crowd pleaser. Well, I had an opportunity to look at the window, and I saw that the young fellow was just as captivated as the rest of the audience, but not in the same way. He seemed to seek it was more than entertainment, and I gathered that he had taken a message from that. Well, I had no more time to think about it because the rest of the show was progressing. Now, at the end of the show, I went behind the curtain, and I packed all the puppets into this little box. And as I was leaving, the young man approached, and he said, "What's in the box?" I said, "Everything." "Everything," he said. "Yes, the Shah and his courtiers and the pomp and the glory, everything right in this box." Well, he stared at it for a while, and then he walked away slowly. Well, it was many years later that I heard the rest of the story and found out that this young man, the brother of the groom, was Bahá'u'lláh. But the rest of the story is for another time.
As Baha'u'llah grew into young adulthood, he married, but did not join the court of the Shah. Instead, he and his wife occupied themselves with ministering to the poor, using his great wealth to make their lives easier. Then, when he was in his late 20s, a spiritual revolution swept through Persia, a new religion, fulfilling the prophecies of Islam and preparing the world for the imminent birth of another great religion was born. It was founded by a young man from the city of Shiraz, known to history as the Bab. Baha'u'llah received some of the writings of the Bab and immediately recognized their truth. He taught others about this new faith, which was spreading like wildfire throughout the country. But the government and the clergy of the day became alarmed, and they began to hunt down the followers of the Bab and to torture, imprison, and execute them.
Baha'u'llah was swept up in this whirlwind and was cast with many others into a dungeon in Tehran, commonly called the Black Pit. It was a foul place, dark, filthy. And because Baha'u'llah came from such a well-positioned family and was so prominent in the Baha'i community, his captors heaped further humiliation upon him by placing 2 chains around his neck. Chains so famous that they had names, and so heavy that he bore their scars for the rest of his life. And yet, during this time, Baha'u'llah received the first intimations that he was to be the next in the series of divine teachers sent by an all-loving Creator throughout history to guide humanity to the next stage in its development. These are the words that Baha'u'llah used to describe that moment.
During the days I lay in the prison of Tehran, though the galling weight of the chains and the stench-filled air allowed me but little sleep. Still, in those infrequent moments of slumber, I felt as if something flowed from the crown of my head over my breast, even as a mighty torrent that precipitateth itself upon the earth from the summit of a lofty mountain. Every limb of my body would, as a result, be set afire. At such moments, my tongue recited what no man could bear to hear.
Baha'u'llah was eventually released from the Black Pit, but was stripped of all his wealth and property and exiled to Baghdad. Perhaps the government and clergy were reluctant to order his execution because of his family's rank. Perhaps they felt if he were sent far away, his influence would wane. But they were wrong. He attracted people from all walks of life, all levels of society, and his influence grew and grew. People traveled long distances to be in his presence. After 10 years, agitators convinced the government that he must be exiled yet farther away. It was on the eve of this second banishment that Baha'u'llah announced his mission publicly, turning a time of great sorrow into one of joy, which is now celebrated as a 12-day festival, the Festival of Ridwan, by Baha'i communities around the world.
I saw him. Oh, how could they send him away? He's so kind, so just, so generous. What would we do without him? I had to go into the streets to try to see him one last time. The crowds were huge and I'm short. So my heart was breaking at the thought that he would pass by and I would not be able to catch even one last glimpse before he is gone from us forever. But he came. He came so dignified, walking so majestically. Why, he didn't look like a prisoner or an exile at all. As he came close to me, I wriggled my way through the crowd. And I don't know what possessed me, but I held out my little baby to him, and he reached out and touched her forehead. Oh, I know it will be a blessing for her as she grows, but how I wish that she could grow up knowing that he is here, our protector is here. You know, they say that he has gone to stay in a beautiful garden for several days before he departs. I wish that I were a nightingale. I could fly to that garden and be with him. I could fly there. You know, if I could be there, I would sing for him from dusk until dawn.
From the city of Baghdad, throngs brimming along the thoroughfare to bask in his glory one last time, as sorrow's current washes through the crowds. Sound of stirring hearts heard in cries, refuge and love passing before their eyes, gestures of sacrifice streaming down to the Tigris, comforting those to be parted from his radiance. Entering a garden in flame, a brilliant hue of roses, calls of the nightingale enchanting the ears. King of glory enters in a state of utmost joy. The tongue of the Ancient of Days has spoken. The tongue of the Ancient of Days has spoken. world transformed to joy, Baha'u'llah pronounced his station. Day of supreme felicity, the first day of Rizwan. Rejoice with exceeding gladness in remembrance of this day. He shed upon the whole creation the splendors of his name. He shed upon the whole creation the splendors of his name.
There were more exiles ahead, from Baghdad to Constantinople, from Constantinople to Adrianople, and finally to the desolate prison city of Akka on the fringes of the Ottoman Empire. It was a place so loathsome that a proverb had it that a bird flying over Akka would drop dead of the stench. And yet, Baha'u'llah's influence continued to grow. People continued to seek him out, to travel long distances, some of them walking for months to see him, to hear his message of unity. And from his prison cell, he wrote tablets to the kings and rulers, to the most powerful figures of his day, to Napoleon III, Pope Pius IX, Tsar Alexander II, Queen Victoria, Sultan Abdulaziz, Nasruddin Shah. He was not pleading with them for mercy or favors. No, he wrote to tell them about this new chapter in the continuing eternal story of God's faith. He wrote to tell them of God's guidance for this age, to warn them, to admonish them, rule with justice. Stop taxing your people exorbitantly to pay for your lavish lifestyles. Stop building up armaments and waging wars. Educate your people so that they will be equipped to contribute to the betterment of your nations. How did these leaders respond, you may ask? But wait, I think someone is coming who can tell us a bit more about one such tablet.
Of the story. I told you there was more. It was many years after the puppet show that we'd put on for Baha'u'llah's brother. Baha'u'llah had suffered many years by now. His family had moved from place to place, and now they were in the prison in Akka. Well, one of the people that was persecuting Baha'u'llah and all his followers was Ali Pasha, the Grand Vizier of Turkey, the Sultan Selim of his day. Now, as you've heard, Baha'u'llah wrote many tablets, many letters to leaders, government officials, and one such tablet was written to Ali Pasha. And in the letter he told him about the puppet show he'd seen as a young boy. And he admonished him with these words. Ever since that day, all the trappings of the world have seemed in the eyes of this youth akin to the same spectacle. Ere long, these outward trappings, these visible treasures, these earthly vanities, these arrayed armies, these adorned vestures, these proud and overweening souls, all shall pass into the confines of the grave, as though into that box. In the eyes of those possessed of insight, all this conflict, contention, and vainglory hath ever been, and will ever be, like unto the play and pastimes of children. Take heed, and be not of them that see and yet deny. Did Ali Pasha listen? No. Did he treat his subjects with more justice? No. Did his kingdom endure? No. But how mysterious that a young child like Baha'u'llah could see the truth when it seemed to be shielded from the sight of all these men of great import in the world. Yes, and how tragic for their people. And tragic for us as well.
The teachings of Baha'u'llah soon spread, in spite of the Persian and Ottoman government's best efforts to suppress them. Before long, they even became known in the West. In 1890, a Cambridge University scholar named Edward Granwell Brown, who published numerous academic articles and books on Persian history and literature, was privileged to meet with Baha'u'llah, the only Westerner who did, and left a description of the experience.
His face, the face of him on whom I gazed, I can never forget, though I cannot describe it. His eyes, those piercing eyes, seem to read one's very soul. Power sat on that brow. Power and authority sat on that ample brow. While while the deep lines on the forehead and face implied an age which the jet black hair and beard flowing down in an indistinguishable luxuriance almost to his waist seemed to belie. No need to ask in whose presence I stood. As I bowed myself before one who is the object of a devotion and love which kings might envy and emperors sigh for in vain. A mild, dignified voice bade me be seated, and then continued, "Praise be to God that thou hast attained. Thou hast come to see a prisoner and an exile. We desire but the good of the world and the happiness of nations, yet they deem us a stirrer up of strife and sedition, worthy of bondage and banishment. That all the nations shall become one, and all men as brothers. That the diversity of religions should cease, and differences of race be annulled. What harm is there in this? Yet so shall it be. These fruitless strifes, these ruinous wars shall pass away, and the most great peace shall come. These strifes, this bloodshed and discord must cease, and all men be as one kindred, one family. Such, so far as I can remember them, were the words which, among many others, I heard from Baha. Let those who read them consider well with themselves whether such doctrines merit death and bonds, and whether the world stands to gain or lose by their diffusion.
In the 127 years since that meeting, the teachings of Baha'u'llah have spread throughout the globe, from Greenland to Vanuatu in the South Pacific, from Cambodia to Finland, from the tip of South America to communities far north of the Arctic Circle, so that we have become one of the most diverse, widely diffused communities of faith on the planet, and yet united, as Baha'u'llah said we should be. Today, we are collaborating with people of all ages and all backgrounds everywhere in an effort to build vibrant, healthy communities. Here are some faces that you may recognize.
My name is Joshua Talaby, and the community from which I serve or partake in is mostly Summerside.
My name is Sanjel Vreeland.
Hi, my name is Bobby Lee, and I'm from China.
My name is Lomihar Shenlal. I'm originally from the Caribbean.
My name is Tandis. And my name is Parvis.
Louise, I live in the community of Charlottetown.
My name is Nick, and I come from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
My name is Madam. I'm 18 years old and I'm from Kuwait. So if you don't know where is Kuwait, it's near Dubai, and I guess you all know where is Dubai.
The teachings of the Baha'i Faith have been my moral compass my whole life. In any situation that I found myself, I knew I could turn to the writings of the Baha'i Faith and find an answer.
As soon as I met many of the friends from the Baha'i community, I realized that these friends were special. They have this kind of atmosphere about them that when I'm around them, I want to kind of be them in a way. They have this light about them that radiates off of them that it's really special.
The teachings of Baha'u'llah acted as a moral framework in which I live my life.
Like Baha'u'llah taught us to be kind, truthful, and all those good qualities like inside us, and how we should show them to all the people, and also taught us about the unity of all human races.
These teachings were such a revelation to me. Everything became focused.
Growing up in a Baha'i family and in a Baha'i community gave me a wonderful sense of empowerment.
So when you talk about Baha'u'llah's teachings and everything, I really took the time these past few years to decide if this is something I wanted to do. So recently, earlier this year, I got involved, went to a youth conference, and I found it was something I greatly enjoyed, and I did miss the people I was surrounded with. So for me, Baha'u'llah's teachings have really guided me from a very wayward course.
The teachings of Baha'u'llah, they really helped, while they helped transform my personal life, they really helped me to think about my community in a different way. In the Baha'i Faith, service is really important.
Since I was a child, I was involved in the children's class program. And when I got older, I got involved in the junior youth program.
So currently I'm active in junior youth, and that is teaching youth between the ages of 11 and 15.
I'm helping those junior youth group to build up their personality and their morals. So I think because they are the future.
Another thing that the program helped me with is that I was a shy girl when I was a small kid. So this program really helped me have strong relationships with my friends and helped me speak more to people without being shy, and yeah, just like now I'm doing it in front of the camera.
I think this junior youth program is very good, not just for the junior youth, but also for me, because it helps me to understand what the people I struggle with.
The other activity that my husband and I do is a class for preschoolers that is virtues-based. And the idea is that everyone and every child is a mine rich in gems of inestimable value.
We used to go to children's classes to learn about unity, peace, and many other things.
The thing I love being about Baha'is in general, even going to devotional meetings or these gatherings we have every now and then, you see people, you see a lot of people who are not Baha'i, but it's so awesome because you're interacting with them on a basis of you want to reach, you want to connect on a very personal and spiritual level, regardless of cultural differences, religious differences, beliefs, morals, values. They can all be different, but you're accepting the other person for who they are.
Service is seen as anything you do in the spirit of helping others is considered service.
It's really amazing how we can change someone's life after someone else just changed ours and opened us up to the new possibilities of working in the community and helping youth shape the community and make it a better place.
It's not enough for me to want my children to grow up to be honest and kind and loving, but I want that for all children because I want all of society to grow up that way.
We have this pivotal role where we have to make the changes, or we have to put the effort in to helping the younger generations realize their potential and their capacity for community building themselves, their own spiritual capacity to express themselves freely and to be able to socialize with other people, because communication is so key with one another.
One of the quotations that I remember is, "Let your heart burn with love and kindness for all who may cross your path." Basically, this quotation taught me that even a simple smile on a face can be an expression for love and kindness for whoever comes to my path.
So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth.
和合の光は非常に強力であり、それは地球上すべてを映しうるほどだ。
So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth.
Tan potente es la luz de la unidad que puede iluminar a toda la tierra.
نور الاتفاق ينير الآفاق.
כה חזקה היא אורה של אחדות עד כי הוא מאחד עולם כולו.
एकताको किरण यति शक्तिशाली हुन्छ कि यसको प्रकाशले सम्पूर्ण भविष्य नै उज्यालो बनाउन सक्छ।
So powerful is the light of unity that it illuminates the whole world.
इतना ताकतवर एकता का प्रकाश है कि वह पूरी पृथ्वी को रोशन कर सकता है.
Si puissante est la lumière de l'unité qu'elle peut illuminer la terre entière.
团结之光如此强大，将以照亮整个地球。
نور اتفاق آفاق را روشن و منور سازد.
This is a matchless day. This is a matchless day. The whole human race hath longed for this matchless day. The healing of the world, the healing of the world will be the union of all its peoples, the healing of the world, the peoples of the world, the peoples of the world must reconcile their differences and stand as one people of the world. At the break of day, at the break of day, the light of unity is dawning. At the break of day, so powerful is that light, so powerful is that light, that it can illuminate the whole earth. So powerful is that light, so powerful is that light, so powerful is that light, that it can illuminate the whole earth. So powerful is that light, so powerful is that light. So powerful is that light that it illuminates the whole earth. So powerful is that light. So powerful is that light.
Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. We hope that you have found at least answers to the question, who is Baha'u'llah? That was posed at the beginning of the program. And now, we warmly invite you to join us for some refreshments and conversation in the foyer. Thank you.